I was in a room with some former Trump officials and military officials. This was a completely unofficial setting, of course, but there was a conversation about what might happen. I was struck to see how many people there did not think that the Iranians would close the Straits because of a belief that that would be suicide for Iran, thinking that the Iranian closure of the Strait would look the same way that it would have done 20 years ago. Under those circumstances, with the technology that the Iranians had back then, they would have closed the Strait with mines, and those mines would be blind. They could blow up an Iranian ship, it could blow up a Chinese ship or an American ship. That would have been suicide because it would have meant that the Iranians would have also stopped their own oil sales. But the way the strait is closed right now is because of drones and missiles.
Yeah.
And they don't even have to hit the ships. The ships simply won't go through, knowing that there's drones and missiles flying around. And that way, the Iranians have been able to, what they call, smartly close the strait. They allow some states to go through, and they also allow their own ships to go through. In fact, the Iranians are selling more oil now than they were before the war, at the price almost 3 times that. None of this was recognized by the U.S. I was stunned to see how little folks on the American side recognized that the Iranians would view this as an existential issue, and as a result, they would act on the threats that they have made. Now, to their defense, I have to say, for several years, Iran did issue a lot of threats and did not act on them. And this has strengthened the view in Washington, D.C., that Iran did not have an appetite for any confrontation with the U.S. It would simply back down if it came to that. But that was a misread, because the strategy in Iran had dramatically changed after the June war. After the June war, it became very clear that strategic patience was no longer successful. Many of the leaders that had advocated for that were killed by the Israelis in that war and were replaced by other military commanders who had a different view of the strategy. And that strategy is what we're seeing right now.